There's a video of me floating around somewhere, like a home video from a long time ago when I was like a little kid, and someone's like, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I was like, "A writer, and an actor, and a singer, and a paleontologist," like every kid in the '90s. And like for the most part, I followed through with most of those except for the paleontology. Kind of let that one go. So like basically since I was a kid, been working on this kind of stuff. But like for the longest time, I was just like, oh, I'm not going to do this. I decided not to do this professionally. So I guess I gave up on my dreams. But then I kind of like realized I haven't at all, though. Like we've been doing this and we're still doing it and we do it all the time. And just because it's not tied to your income, it's actually like, I don't know, kind of better that way.
Yeah, love the new pilot. I guess it's a pilot proof of concept.
Yeah, it kind of started as a proof of concept because we essentially just wanted to write something and then, get better at filmmaking and writing and everything like that. And so we were like, let's make this and see if anybody wants it. And then after we started, we were like, you know what, we're just going to actually do the best that we possibly can and make it. So it's a pilot.
Nice.
As far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's great. I enjoyed it. I love D&D. I haven't got to play it since I was a teenager, but...
Oh, nice. Yeah, what edition of D&D was it on back when you were playing? Do you remember?
I don't even remember.
Was it?
We played a couple different ones.
Okay.
It was an old one, an old edition. It was in the early 90s. So,
yeah, it was in the original Greek. Yeah.
It was early 90s, but it was an old book. So, well, a couple of old books.
Yeah, we've been playing for, I don't know, a really long time.
I don't like to think about time like that.
Yeah. But what, like, how long have we been playing together, Dungeons and Dragons?
Since I was 15, so...
Okay.
I'm not going to say
I was only 16.
You're not catching me on a hot mic for that.
In college, be like, I'm going to play Dungeons and Dragons with 15-year-old girl.
I love the way you guys show because that's what's so fun about D&D, the imaginative part of it. It's like you're creating a book together and you're living it. And a lot of people don't understand how submersive of a game it is unless you actually play it.
Yeah. It's really all about collaborative storytelling. So it kind of mirrors filmmaking in that way, because it's just a bunch of people working together and putting their part into it to try to hopefully make something that, ends up being
it's like you're
making sense.
Yeah, like you're riffing a story together.
Exactly, yeah.
Except there's a little bit of structure to it. The DM, has...
Yeah. It's to keep you from getting overpowered.
Right, depending on how much work the DM did.
Right.
It's going to be a looser structure, maybe.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, a little more madcap.
I love that scene where John is raising his mask and he's going in and out of the imaginary world.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was your scene.
That was my character.
Oh, it was your character. That's right. Yeah. The ram or
Yeah.
the horned guy.
The tiefling, right?
The tiefling.
Hey,
Yeah,
I remembered.
Demon born.
I remember when I played I've only played D&D a couple times, but I had a tiefling son, so I'm an ally.
Okay.
So
Okay.
just
They
letting you
need
know.
them. It's rough out there.
Yeah.
There's a safe space for tieflings here.
Good.
Well, the Dungeons and Dragons, the big ticket movie, the Chris Pine movie, Honor Among Thieves, that brought some good tiefling awareness to the screen. So
Nice.
Sure, yeah.
True.
yeah, we're just continuing in that vein.
And that character was originally going to be a Birdman, like a similar to Darnathan. But we were like, we can't make that happen. Like when it actually came down to imagining how we're going to do this. So we changed it. And then that movie came out and I was like, well, good thing we didn't try because they would have shown us up big time.
Right, yeah.
Because that was a pretty impressive costume.
Well, the way you guys did it was really fun, too. It was I don't know. It like the
I haven't seen
special effects doesn't take away from it at all. Actually, the way you did it's better.
Yeah, well, I mean, we didn't have much of a budget. Our budget was originally $8,000, I think, after post-production costs and everything like that. We ended up at 10 or something like that, which I think we did a good job for that budget. It's pretty small. So we didn't really have a whole lot of options for visual effects and stuff like that.
Sure.
So we kind of wanted to lean into the amateur aspect of it and make we wanted it to be as real as possible for the characters, but the fact that, there's going to be talking over each other, they're going to be in and out of the scene and stuff like that, it lets you have a lot more freedom to make it a little bit I don't know, shittier looking. Can I curse on this podcast?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
I
I don't know the rules. I was like, if not, I'm leaving. Goodbye. Because you're not.
No, a lot of
Canadian.
a lot of 4 and 5-year-olds listen to this podcast. You can't teach them anything.
Kids show.
Yeah.
This is a Christian podcast, actually. So
The producers
we
will
came
not be
to
happy.
ask you about your everlasting souls because you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, which is the devil's game.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And my character is kind of a demon. Yeah.
Yeah.
A tiefling. Yeah.
The sweet demon.
Yeah.
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 I mean, alignment is
Yeah. Let's steer
doesn't
away.
exactly a binary. Come on.
That's
Yeah,
right.
it's a
very
spectrum.
subjective.
Yeah.
We'll,
Exactly.
we'll steer away from religion, though, really. Which I didn't do in one of my drafts of the second episode. I actually, it was a too religious draft. One of the second episode drafts that we haven't made. So
Well, this is a religious
It's
show,
the-
so
it was, it was the wrong path forward. I think we're going to do something else different for the second
What
episode.
did you like? Did you like nail it to the door of something?
That's what I did. I mean, it was a pretty long draft though. That's what happens in writing though. I find for me, I can get off. I can do like a whole draft that I don't feel like I use a lot of.
Yeah.
Like it might come in like subtle little ways later,
Yeah.
but it's not like I know it's not the right draft.
you have to
Like,
overwrite it.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I write a
Yeah.
screenplay, I always way overwrite it, and then when I write out my scenes, I'll write 15 scenes for each act, and then go in and start cutting out scenes, and
Yeah.
so it's
And we're collaboratively writing, so that's like a whole nother beast too, because like we're
Yeah.
both writing drafts, and then it's like, well, we have to pick and choose like, what's the gold, in what we've both written, and then also how to make both of our voices like kind of mesh together so that it is seamless and doesn't seem like completely.
It didn't feel like multiple writers, or it
Good.
was very a solid
Yeah.
collaboration.
Well, that's why you gotta like.
Why
The
it took us
continuity
so
was really
long.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, it got better throughout the episode.
Yeah.
Like it got. I mean, you could tell like you guys were figuring out things as you went along too, and it just got better and better.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it
we
was-
just
and-
like traded it back and forth, and like I said, there were some
Yeah.
drafts I knew like just. I think we could tell when the other one read it. Like this isn't. We got to kind of we got to start over and
Yeah, yeah.
like go a different angle with it.
Yeah. Hopefully, episode 2 takes less time than the first
Well,
one.
it
We got to
depends.
build characters.
I think it's already taken more writing time.
Well,
kind of,
we
if
haven't
you-
officially started.
That's how bad my draft was. That it didn't officially start yet. I like that. I agree with that
gonna-
wholeheartedly.
You're gonna
Haven't
officially
started
start
yet.
over.
Yeah, that was in the weird in between episodes. The
That was
drafts
just
that
some
haven't
stuff
worked
you
out.
had to get off your chest.
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
you can really write.
It's a different project for something else later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is great. They're not going to like it.
Yeah. It's going to be the end of my career. I got a lot of things to say about religion.
And another thing.
This will be
That's my
episode
dogma.
1.5.
Yeah. Well, we did start when we started writing. We had the intention of like, okay, well, we want to practice writing like television, like specifically.
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
wanted to write out like at least 3 episodes with the intention of like, okay, this will be like an arc amongst these 3 episodes,
Right.
with the intention of it getting like more episodic throughout. Because we're looking at like influences like Community or like, Parks and Rec, any of the Mike Schur shows, like any of those kinds of like long lasting shows. Like, what do you have? You have these archetypal characters. You provide them a lot of, the first episode's a little bit more expository than I would like, but that's a pilot for you.
Yeah.
Hopefully, as we
It has
keep
to be,
moving
though,
on.
right?
Yeah. And hopefully,
Yeah.
as we keep moving on, we can keep dropping like more information so that like they have a big environment to like play in. We have a lot to work with because eventually them just sitting around a table might get a little bit boring. So we want to make sure
Right.
that they have outside lives and that they're real characters. And so writing, keeping all of that in mind while also trying to make it funny.
Right. And also, you guys can go on a new adventure every episode, so that's
Yeah.
it's going to keep it interesting.
Yep.
Do you
That's,
do you guys have
that's
any
a
plans
Dungeons
for like
and Dragons.
festivals or anything?
Yeah, it is. I'm currently submitting. So we made it to Gen Con.
Nice.
That's our first official selection, which is really exciting.
big
That's
deal.
a big tabletop gaming convention in Indiana, or in Indianapolis. But so it's a pretty big convention. The film festival, film festival is never the biggest draw of a any kind of convention, but
Right.
hopefully we'll get some people in there and we're going to go promote it and might do some panels and stuff like that. So that's really exciting. And then I've submitted to a couple of local things. And then we did, a screening for, like friends and family, cast and crew and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we did raise a little bit of money during that so that we can enter some more stuff, maybe some more ambitious stuff a little bit later
Nice.
down the line as well.
Have you looked into Film Freeway?
I have, yeah.
Okay,
That's what I'm
cool.
primarily using.
Yeah, it's a great source. Yeah.
It is. It makes it
Great
a
resource.
lot easier
Yes.
than sending. I don't even know what I would do if it. but
It'd be hard. Yeah.
More research.
How did people do this back in the 90s? or
Send
before,
a physical
before the
tape,
2000s?
I guess, in the
Yeah.
mail.
Yeah. Or a
Yeah.
script or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Festivals.
So, but Gen Con was great because they took a rough cut. We had pretty close to what we wanted, but AJ did a total revamp of sound and did a lot of lighting correction as well. So
Okay.
the final product looks a lot better, and I was happy to be able to be like, look, this is better. You take this,
Yeah.
and they were acceptable for that. So
Nice. That's good. Yeah, I love the quality of it. It's shot very well. The lighting and the audio is great.
yeah,
The audio is really good. Yeah.
Yeah, we did have to do some reshoots during the summer just because we lost some footage right out the gate, which was really unfortunate. And we don't have the kind of budget really that's required for reshoots or anything
Right,
like that.
yeah.
But I think all things told, you can't really tell that much that this was 5 months later or anything like that. So I think mission accomplished there.
Yeah. The ADR's all great too.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't see it, but I saw it in the credits. So.
Yeah. AJ did a lot of that as well. So
So that was really good.
Yeah.
Very seamless. Mm-hmm. And some of your choreography was great too.
oh yeah, that is thanks to my husband Scott. He
Nice.
he teaches martial arts. So
There you go.
I can't say that we really did him justice in getting the actual fight scene perfectly correct, but it cut up well, and that's the first fight scene I've ever shot, so that checked a little bucket list
Yeah.
for me. So that was pretty cool.
Didn't want to hire a stunt crew or anything.
I mean,
I'm kidding.
hiring was the term hire.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you pay people money to do things, which again, very
Right.
low budget. So.
Yeah. That's exciting. What have you guys produced anything else before this or?
Well, Aldon's done plenty with his brother.
Yeah, I know you guys have.
Right. Yeah.
And then we used to run a sketch troupe called Sundays at 7, where we just did some, some short sketches, usually 2 or 3 minute long stuff. But this is the first big long thing I think that we've made.
I think a 48-hour film that we did one time was probably the biggest that we did with that group with
Yeah.
Okay.
with the Sundays at 7 group, and then a bunch of other friends as well who. Quite a bit of overlap of some people who worked on that are working in this film too. So
There's a lot of idiot box people,
Yeah.
obviously. So
Yeah.
definitely, choosing
Yes.
from the community. We haven't gotten a lot of outside,
Yeah. We have a good resource to pull from.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. It's all
Right.
Greensboro, Winston-Salem folks.
Nice.
yeah,
That's cool.
we've gotten to know a lot of really talented people, and this was great to have a project that we could work with so many of them.
Now, having a background in the sketch, how much of the dialogue was improvised?
Not that much. Honestly, the script was pretty it's pretty rhythm based. A lot of the humor is based on setting up this pattern and then breaking it, and then
Right.
setting it back up and then breaking it. So there weren't that many moments where we could veer from that and still end up with the same kind of pacing that we wanted.
Yeah.
But there were moments like Steve's, with the charcuterie board, we had to put that in there. There's a couple of things here and there. They're more like moments than they are the lines specifically. And then after we had shot everything, literally at the after party, I was like, Aldon, I'm editing this in my head right now, and I think we need an additional scene. We're going from moving camera to this other moving camera shot, and I think we need a still camera scene in there. And so we started writing an additional scene after that, and actually Steve helped with that as well. So Steve and Aldon both wrote drafts, and then I just Frankensteined them
Doctored
together.
it.
Yeah.
That's cool. What was your most fun aspect of the whole creative process?
Production.
Yeah.
The actual filming was great.
Okay.
A lot to think about, but
Sure. How long did it take you guys to write this? Or how long was it from time of conception till
we actually started
a year.
filming. Yeah.
Because we started
That's not
during
bad.
lockdown. We kind of, it was not really safe to hang out indoors. And so we had a lot of bonfires and just kind of hashed out the characters during that time. And then once we were hanging out inside, it was all right, let's sit down and write this thing. And then we passed drafts back and forth for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, we weren't very diligent about keeping a schedule. We would meet like maybe twice a month or something like that, maybe. And then we were like, all right, we're going to do a sober edit, and then we're going to get high and do a high edit. So like that's our creative process. So it took a little while just because we weren't super disciplined about it. But
right, yeah.
I mean, I think this one will go a little faster because we have faces that go with our characters now, so it's a little bit easier to write once you have like the idiosyncrasies of the actors like in mind. So like I'm excited to write for like, I don't know if you saw Sarah, the blonde lady who played Denise in the film, but she has this like amazing like high pitched voice that I'm like really planning to utilize a little bit more in the second episode, and like other little things that the actors have that will kind of inspire us to kind of make it move a little bit faster.
That's cool. Was Sarah was that John's wife? No, not John. Steve's wife.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pete's
Yeah.
wife.
Yeah. Pete.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Yeah. Well, you guys have momentum now, so it should be, the writing process should be a lot more fun
That's the idea. Hopefully it works out that way.
and faster.
Yeah.
You got the ball rolling.
It's also summer though, and sun's out, guns out.
Yeah, we don't want to commit to work too hard.
I always feel better in the summer though, like with creative stuff. My body just feels better.
Yeah, it's just a matter of like, do I want to write or do I want to be in a pool?
Yeah.
Right.
So hopefully it rains a lot this summer, and that'll keep me on track.
Right after the pool.
Yeah.
When you're sleepy.
Exactly.
Life-work balance.
Yeah. What do you guys still? I know you're probably still both doing sketch too, right? What's?
Not really. I haven't really. I mean, I do improv.
Or improv.
Betty Bob.
Yeah.
So keeping in touch with that. I would like to do sketch. We have talked about, some other ladies and I have talked about doing a female sketch group because Greensboro's never had one, as far as Bob told me recently. So we have thought about doing something like that. It's just finding the time.
Yeah, for sure. What? So going into you guys personally, what got you into? When did you know you wanted to be an artist? I mean, you're always an artist, but when did you start getting into sketch or that type of art? Or what was your first creative endeavor as on your way up?
I kind of contribute Dungeons and Dragons to one of my first big creative endeavors. I started playing when I was maybe 10 or 11 with my both my older brothers were interested in it, particularly my oldest brother Abe, but he came and got us both interested, and like we just play as brothers, so
that's cool.
That was cool. But just watching him like put together like mix CDs for his games or something like that, or like making maps for his games, and like just making the characters and all of the creativity that goes into Dungeons and Dragons. It's kind of like an arts and crafts, like it's like you're taking an arts and crafts class every week, almost, especially if you're a dungeon master, like, because you gotta figure all that stuff out. So that's what got me started. And then throughout school, I particularly gravitated towards writing. Like, I was an English major in college.
Okay,
yeah,
makes sense.
So, and then writing sketches with my brother and our sketch troupe, Monfrere, and then Unstoppable Failure, and Trouble with Shapes. Then that was just writing, like acting experience too, and got me thinking about stories and scripts, and how like the script, it keeps changing as you go through the process, which is something that I think was really important for Table Chatter, that even though we had the script, we knew that like we weren't going to be married to necessarily anything if we just wanted to like have a certain pace or whatever. I think we both had a concept that we would kind of shave it down throughout, just little bits here and there throughout the entire process. Right. And I think that
it's one of the fun things about writing is how it does change, and like things happen that you didn't predict it to happen. It wasn't like planned. It just happens in the writing. That's always been my favorite part about writing, and especially if you're like you have a big block of time. You're a couple hours in, and it's just really flowing. Mm-hmm. And you're like, wow, this is amazing. This is happening. Like I had no idea this was going to happen in the story. And even though you've already written out your paradigm or whatever, you kind of know where you're going, but it's the things within the scenes within the story that happen, or like maybe a new character shows up or something.
Yeah, whatever it needs.
Yeah.
There's a video of me floating around somewhere, like a home video from a long time ago when I was like a little kid, and someone's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I was like, a writer and an actor and a singer and a paleontologist, like every kid in the 90s. And like, for the most part, I followed through with most of those except for the paleontology. Kind of let that one go. So like basically since I was a kid, been working on this kind of stuff. But like for the longest time, I was just like, oh, I'm not going to do this. I decided not to do this professionally. So I guess I gave up on my dreams. But then I kind of like realized I haven't at all, though. Like we've been doing this and we're still doing it and we do it all the time. And just because it's not tied to your income, it's actually like, I don't know, kind of better that way.
Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, I wanted to be an artist and an archaeologist. Yeah. But I didn't want to be poor, so. Isn't
it weird how we think that those fields like archaeology and paleontology would be fun as children, and it's like, no, this is a lot of cataloging and like.
I think it'd still be fun.
You think it'd be fun?
Yeah, archiving.
It'd be boring sometimes, but it'd be fun. Like it's a rewarding endeavor,
Probably.
I think. But
yeah,
and just the being able to travel and be on site and have see dig site. I mean, it depends on which type of archaeology you're in. It could be really boring, I guess, but.
And another shard of clay from a pot. Hooray!
Right.
It's a very physical job. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Jurassic Park, I think, got us all wanting to be paleontologists. That was a
little before that, but yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
You had Indiana Jones though, Neil. That's why you want to do archaeology.
Yeah. It's movies. They make it seem cooler.
Well, I was just when I was a kid, I was fascinated with dinosaurs. Like when I was 4 and 5 years old, I just loved dinosaurs, and when I started school, I would always check out all the dinosaur books. And
favorite dinosaur, go.
When I was a kid, it was probably T-Rex, but
and T-Rex is the star.
But I liked Brontosaurus a lot, and some of the information has changed over how they looked and stuff since then. But there was, back then, this was like 80. I think I was in second grade. I had an issue with my teacher. Over a brontosaurus.
A dinosaur issue?
Because I had a book. Yeah, dinosaur issue. Yeah. And in the book, the brontosaurus, it showed it with its nose on its like forehead. Like it was up here, and it showed it in water.
Cranial ridge.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I drew this brontosaurus with its nose where it was supposed to be, and my teacher was walking around looking at everybody's drawings. And I was always drawing anyway, like even when I wasn't supposed to be. My notebooks were just drawings. And then she said, why is his nose on top of his head? And I was like, well, that's where it's supposed to be. And she's like, no, it's not. You need to start over and draw it correctly. And I was like, no, it's correct. And she like got into this big debate with a 6-year-old or 7-year-old about brontosauruses.
Is she showing you like the Flintstones and being like, look at it, look at them?
Well, she picked up my drawing and tore it up and threw it away.
Whoa!
So I just left the class and went to the office and asked to speak to the principal.
Very curious where this woman is now.
And
like that sounds like a midlife crisis.
It was bad. Yeah. And so I sat in the principal's office for half an hour and talked to him, and he's like, all right, I'll set up a parent-teacher conference and we'll figure out what's going on. And she was a mean teacher anyway. Like nobody liked her. She was always angry. And, looking back now, I feel bad for her. She was just probably going through some personal stuff. But we had a parent-teacher conference.
Personal stuff, a.k.a. the North Carolina public education system.
Yeah. Or just life.
Yeah.
But she was, in the conference, she was, she opened up and talked about things she was dealing with in her personal life. And, still no excuse to be mean to kids, but it was understandable. And I... had it, and she was great for the rest of the year, and she left after that year. But I just thought that was funny that,
that
was such a big deal. Who cares if a kid draws the nose in the wrong place?
Right.
Yeah.
Creative
at least the kid's drawing. But
and I mean, I think a brontosaurus. I'm not even sure if that's like if they think that was a dinosaur anymore. Like I think it maybe got separated into some other dinosaurs that.
Oh, it could be a different...
Or kind of, exactly. Yeah. Like they were like...
First it's a Pluto, now it's the Brontosaurus.
Exactly, that kind of thing.
Or we're putting together bones, piecing together bones from 65+ million years ago.
Brontosaurus has been canceled.
Yeah, Brontosaurus got another victim of the woke.
Brontosaurus and Pluto.
All right.
Well, Brontosauruses were the protagonist of Land Before Time.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Little Leaf or something?
Yeah, those leaves looked good that they ate. Those look delicious.
I think maybe you just don't get enough fiber.
Maybe my body's telling me something. I don't know.
Craving leaves. So how did you? What was your creative process or creative, I guess, evolution in your life?
Okay, so Aldon and I were both in the same theater troupe back in high school. We were in Southwest Ensemble for Advanced Theater.
Nice.
And we were pretty good for high school theater. Like we were pretty dedicated. And then after that, I worked at the North Carolina Renaissance Fair. I had a stage show for a little while, and that was probably the first time I ever like was writing my own scripts and then performing them and stuff. And then I was a film major in college for a while, but I went to England for my study abroad program, and they had very different equipment than we had at UNCG. UNCG's film department is a little behind the times. And so we were shooting on like digital cameras. It was really, really nice stuff that we could, it was an art school. As a result, they did not like anything that I make. It was like a very artsy school. They did not like anything with like a story or comedy, like no.
Wow.
So they did not like my stuff, which is fine. But I got to learn how to, I always say like, I think that the best thing film school does is give you a safe place to fail and teach you that that's okay. And like allows you to like learn how to take risks and stuff like that and try to be ambitious. But then when I got back to the United States and tried to re-enroll in my program, they were like, this equipment doesn't match. You're going to have to start. If you want to be a production major, you're going to have to start from scratch. And I just didn't have the like money to do that because it would have been an extra year of college. Yeah. So I just finished out with my English degree, which I already had enough credits for. Took the minor in film studies, and I was like, I guess I'll just do this on my own. And then I went and fucked around in Asia for a couple of years and then came back and was like, let's make something.
That's cool. I mean, that's what most people in this industry do anyway. They kind of figure out themselves what works.
Yeah, and I think like, especially during the pandemic, I was like, I really have wanted to make something. Like, what's the next step? And then all of the advice I read was just like, just do it. The only way you're going to learn is just by doing it. And even if it's a complete failure, even if it sucks, like at least you have practice and you've learned a lot. So that was for me like a big motivating factor. I was like, let's pour some time and energy into something.
Yeah, that's cool. Yes, I got back. I mean, I never got out of being creative. I always been into drawing and painting and stuff like that. But I always wanted to do. I always wanted to be in acting and express myself that way. And then I discovered comedy through acting. But I didn't even pursue acting until I was 32.
Wow.
Yeah, and because I was just too busy, I had too many responsibilities, and when I was 32, I had a bunch of losses, and some stuff was kind of falling apart, so it gave me some extra time, and I was like, I should really pursue my creative side, and I do have a background in design. I went to school for advertising and graphic design, and I've done a lot of design work in business, and I've always approached business from a creative perspective. And in business, I've done a lot of interior design and graphic design. But I'm really happy that I got into live performance.
Yeah, especially here because this is such a support. Like Greensboro,
it's a great
comedy
community.
is just so great, and I helped a lot of people both creatively and just like personally, like as people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
a lot of good comics and good artists and people that really care about other people succeeding with them. Yeah, so
that's definitely been, I think, the most amazing part about making all of this is just really everybody coming out of the woodwork to be like, how can I help? Like, I can do anything. And, and even people who have absolutely no experience being like, can I cook a meal or can I come out and just like hold a reflector board or something like that.
Yeah.
So just like everyone really wanting to be a part of it has just the warm fuzzies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why filming was my favorite part too, because it was everybody together. Like, it was such a nice. It's just a cool atmosphere to have that many people with a focus. It's not just a party. It's kind of like, you're having a good time, but you're all trying to make something cool together. It was really cool. Yeah.
How big of a crew did you guys have?
I think on our largest day, because it varied, our largest day was when we shot all the stuff at Cedar Rock Park, which is most of the in-game stuff was there, like with the cliff and everything.
Yeah.
I think our total cast and crew was like 49 people, 47 to 49, something like that. So,
production.
It ended up being quite big because we had like 12 zombies, we had, our cast, we had production assistants and just people helping out. So it was pretty fun.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I've just been so impressed with you, Kristen. Let me just say, as the director, because that's like it's been all her show. I mean, she's coordinated everything, and she just because really everything. You're the only person that really every single, you're involved in every little piece of it, and that's always been what was daunting to me about like one of the things. Like I want, I can write stuff and I can act and stuff, but I don't want to do take such a monumental task to like really like wrangle everybody together, even though like, yeah, that's going to add so much, I think, when you can get all of these different talented people to
the follow through is tough. And, there's a lot of things that are challenging. I'd say another way that filmmaking kind of mirrors D&D is that the hardest part is scheduling. Like just figuring out everybody's schedule, especially because we weren't like a paying production, like all of the actors were working just, for the fun of it. So I didn't feel like I could be like, no, blow off your sister's wedding or something like that, know? So just figuring out, like we scheduled our shoot 6 months in advance and everything like that. And then of course we had some rain, of course, so we were able to manage by just shifting days. So like we had one day that was a really heavy shoot day. And if the rain interrupted that would have been like, we would have had to schedule an extra day for filming that. Yeah. So we just kind of switched the days and luckily it was fine. We had a couple of hours in my brother's basement. But it was like halting this giant mechanism. And like, I sent maybe like 200 text messages that day, the day that I had to make the call to like shift.
So stressful.
Yeah. Cause I had to be like, all right, we're changing the food. We're changing the menu. We're changing this. I'm going to move all of this stuff. I have to call Cedar Rock to make sure it's okay. And like all of this, it was just a lot.
And it's hard to go through that type of stuff, that very analytical stuff, and then just jump back into the creative side.
Yeah, and then remember your lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think somehow, I guess because I helped write them, but the lines were like the last thing that I was at, like the night before, I was like, oh, you know what? I should fucking learn those. I will need to know them. But, there's a lot of great resources out there for actors too, like apps that will read your lines back to you so you can just sit in the bathtub and memorize them and stuff like that.
When I'm trying to work on lines, I'll read the script and then I'll read whatever I'm working on, like if it's an audition or something. I'll just read the scenes that I'm auditioning for, and then I'll just put the script down and I'll just improvise it a few times.
Yeah.
And whoever's reading with me, I'll have them improvise it with me. I mean, usually it's just me by myself when I'm just rehearsing, and I'll improv the scene over and over again, so I can really get the idea of what's happening in the scene, and then I can make some choices, and then I'll start using the script and just go through each beat of the script until I've got all the right words in place.
Yeah, knowing the context of the sequence of events is ultimately more important than the word for word memorization of the line.
Yeah, but
it will help you if you do it that way rather than try to get the line down.
Yeah,
without trying to really consider what it is you're saying.
Yeah, because then it just sounds mechanical.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's but yeah, it's people don't understand how difficult these processes are. I think, I could memorize those lines. Like I know all the lines in this movie. Yeah, but do you have a point of view about it? It's like, or do you know what you're saying?
Yeah.
Because that's where the magic's at. Is in that the strong choices and the point of view.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So. And we didn't have that many problems with like bloopers. Like I tried to put together a blooper reel, but when we were going through the footage, we were like, we don't actually have that much. Like we moved extremely quickly because we had a really ambitious shot list. Yeah. Like the director of photography, Lindsay Thompson, and I went through the script like over the course of like maybe 4 or 5 weeks, like 2 hours every Tuesday or something like that, just putting our shot list together. And then when it came down to make a shot schedule, I was like, what have we done? Like we have made this monstrous like list of really ambitious stuff, but I think it shines through in the film because it's very dynamically shot. There's no like there's some really great images, there's some great framing that I'm really proud of. We shot to edit for the most part, so all of the mask scene I think was pretty good.
Yeah.
And other kind of cutaways and stuff.
I love
like
the shots in the car too. With the lighting was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. It had like I don't know, it had some kind of nostalgic vibe to it too. Some of the scenes.
Yeah, shooting in cars is tough because you have to move everybody's seat back and then and then you can't turn on the car, so it's especially in the summer really hot in there and
right.
But because it was the concept of the pilot is like everyone comes together and then leaves, in this, we just had to have it. Like, it wouldn't make sense for them to be walking around having these conversations. So.
Right. Yeah. It was very well done. Yeah. I was very impressed.
Thanks.
What was your longest shoot day?
That was the one at Cedar Rock Park. That one was the monster. That's the, we had rented the entire gazebo area. It was a little bit of a walk to get down to the shot area. We had to do all the zombies. We had to do the witchwear work, makeup that day. We had the fight scene that day. We had various choreography with all the zombies and all the extras on top of the hill. That was the second half of the day. So that was the most challenging, but also really, really fun.
Yeah, that's cool. Was it like a 15-hour day?
Not quite. I think we ended up at 12.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, our all the stuff around the table was quite long as well, but we were aiming to shoot that in the evening. So most of that couldn't even really start until, the sun went down.
A bunch of professionals. Everybody was prepared. That's good.
I have been on a lot of sets before where the directors or the director of photography or whatever have just been like, oh yeah, well, we're going to we have an idea of what this is going to look like, so we're going to wing it. And I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, wing it's a scary word.
It's a terrible idea
concept.
when you have a bunch of people that are relying on you to communicate what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
So you have to have a crystal clear understanding of how exactly this is going to work in order to be able to communicate it to other people so that they can do their jobs.
Yeah, it's difficult to block things out like that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't want your actors just sitting around in the heat in their costumes, while you're trying to figure out how to frame something up. You're already going to have a little bit of that just because of the nature of the technology.
Yeah.
So at least have a plan, and then you can deviate from the plan, of course. But
indie projects are always the hardest projects because you don't have all the extra comforts. It's like I love working on network shows and stuff because it's just it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You have your own chairs and everything's so nice, and people are constantly asking you if you need anything, and then so when you come out of working on indie projects and you go into that, it's like, whoa, this is insane.
Yeah.
But
people are in it for the love of the game, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a great way to learn though, and it makes you appreciate the easy projects.
For sure.
Yeah, an idle actor can be a dangerous thing though, so you want to keep everybody on track.
Yep.
Yeah, and you and Lindsay did a great job of that during the filming. But it wasn't like a Taskmaster kind of set. It was everybody was having a good time.
Yeah.
Which I think we knew we needed to because it was.
People working for free.
It's a comedy, yeah.
You gotta make it at least
I think that's pretty
enjoyable.
important for indie stuff too. It can't be a drag for people otherwise.
You're gonna is it on IMDb yet?
Not yet. I'm working on it.
Okay,
That's
so
a
they'll get
process.
credits. That's good.
Yeah, we'll do that. And just seeing it come together is a pretty great reward.
Huge, yeah.
Yeah.
Having it shown at festivals, so, and then if people are still down for it, we'd like to make a second one, hopefully next year.
Yeah, be awesome.
Kind of depends on how long it takes us to write.
Well, hopefully you get some interest from the festivals too. Maybe get some more.
Yeah,
funding.
you never know. Sometimes I think this is the kind of thing that would build up kind of a little bit of a fan base, like a cult classic kind of thing, before it would interest anybody executive or anything like that.
Sure.
But you never know.
A couple seasons.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
And then you may not want
just going to
anybody
cons, making this, stuff like this.
Yeah, if I could find somebody who's
awesome.
I love this, I will give you $20,000 to make another one. I'd be like, all right, we'll probably do that.
Yeah. Double the budget.
That's ideal. Yeah.
What was your biggest issue during production, other than the change in shoot days?
Our shot schedule was ambitious, so especially during that that around the table scene, that was the first thing that we shot was all the backyard stuff.
Yeah.
So the first night I had, okay, we're going to do this setup and then this setup, A, B, and C. And then we got through A and B, and then it was just all right, so I'm going to have to go through. So we got home pretty late that night, and I still stayed up, revising the shot schedule and trimming what we absolutely, needed, and what do we need to tell the story, because we're not going to have time to get everything we wanted. That being said, we still got about 80% of what we wanted, which I consider a huge accomplishment, considering we had pages and pages of setups and here's, how many medium close-ups I want, and all of this, kind of crazy, because I wanted a ton of reaction shots to play with.
Yeah, well, the more shots you have, the better. for editing. Yeah.
Yeah, and we have such good actors that are so good at staying in the moment. Like, it doesn't matter if the camera's even on them; they're still in the scene.
Yeah.
So just having the camera running at the same time, we rented we rented an additional camera, so we would have a 2-camera setup for that that particular shoot, and that was really helpful because we got a ton of B-roll, and it was lots of reactions that we could use later. Sifting through it later was a pain in the ass, so that's something I'm going to keep in mind for future projects. Is like, yeah, we got tons of footage, but now we have to go through all the footage.
Yeah, a lot of work.
So maybe being a little bit more methodical about it is like a lesson I've learned.
Yeah. It still sounds like you were pretty concise, though.
I think so.
Overall.
Yeah, I'm proud of the organization that we put into it.
What type of cameras did you guys use?
That is a question for Lindsay. We used DSLRs. They were shot in 4K. I don't remember the actual camera.
Okay. It looked nice, though. It looked really good.
But we used Lindsay's camera for most of it, and then we rented an additional one for that one particular shoot weekend because we knew we needed 2 cameras to get all of those reaction shots.
So you shot most of it on one camera?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep. And we knew beforehand that we wanted all of the in real life stuff for the most part. We wanted that to be a fixed camera, and then everything in the game was supposed to be handheld because the original concept for this, and we've veered very far away from this, but we originally wanted the game world to be a little bit like Drunk History, like a little bit like kind of amateur, like a little shaky cam, like maybe the audio doesn't sync up properly. And then we kind of like worked on making that look a little bit more professional and, you know.
I think it's going to look amateur enough, maybe, is what we.
Yeah.
It has that amateur
charming,
look, but it feels very professional.
Yeah, and I actually want to lean into that a little bit more in the second episode, and I think it actually does require some skill to do that well, but also still get what you need.
So, just the quality of the performances. It has a lot to do with that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that was really nice, is that I didn't have to really coach the actors that hard. They were on it.
Yeah, when you guys were hanging out in the woods and stuff, it didn't seem like you were it didn't feel like a script. It just felt like you guys were hanging out in the woods.
Good. That's what it should feel like.
Going through this adventure or whatever you're doing, the acting was good.
It was definitely a milestone. I think once we kind of nailed down the cast that we wanted, like we did like a stage reading of it, and it was just
cool.
When that stage reading, that for me was one that, like, the moment I was like, whoa, this is really working. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that was exciting.
Yeah, and we had a couple of rehearsals like here and there as well, so that we could have some time to work on it, because in theater, the rehearsal is the work, like the show is the payoff, but like that's how you learn your lines. That's how you figure out what everything sounds like is through rehearsal. So we made sure to have at least a couple. I would have liked to have more, but again, scheduling.
Yeah, it's a lot of the times for film stuff you don't have rehearsals either. So
exactly,
that's lucky. That's nice you could do that.
Yeah, I think it adds when you can just do just a little bit, every little bit.
Yeah,
I think that was kind of one of the things about this project, like every little bit, like, like just the logo, for example, like who did
Emily did it.
Emily Pfeffer designed the logo.
So there's a ton of like little Easter eggs and different little contributions from people throughout the film. So like Emily did our logo. Derek Delaney did a lot of the art. So the credit art at the end. He did the Sam's Born to Rot t-shirt. And a lot of our Dave Dobson's books are featured. So if you've not read any Dave Dobson's books, please go do that. He's a great author. And just other like little art like around is made by friends.
Jason, the miniatures.
The minis, all kinds of like just it was cool to be able to showcase that and to include all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's
as
cool.
well as everybody's talents in acting and filmmaking as well.
Yeah, I like the art. I at the end, the art was great. In the credits.
The credits are cool.
The way the credits were done was cool.
And the music. Mike Rinaldi did 3 original songs for us.
Nice.
Which is awesome. Like I was just like, okay, here's what I'm looking for. I want something that looks like this band Skeletreason made. And then he made Big Guns, which is the credits song. And then Louder Than London. And I was like, okay, I need like a dirty punk song. Like a dirty, loud, like high BPM punk song. And he just was like, how's this? And I was just like,
the music's great.
Yeah. I love when people just are like, here we go. I've been in my little laboratory making music, and this is what you have, and it's perfect.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that's cool. That's
I love
really
the
cool.
music. I think it was when your alarm went off.
Yeah.
And then it was eat shit and die.
Yeah.
Eat shit and live. I love that.
Yeah. Spilled Milk is the name of the
Oh, I
song.
love
You
it.
can find it on Spotify.
That's a great
Alright.
name.
Yeah, that's the Dirty Punk song.
Oh yeah.
And like all the posters in Sam's room, like Derek Delaney made those. Skeletreason is her favorite band, which you don't need to know, but now you know. And Skeletreason is a band that Derek made just by messing around with AI and doing some heavy edit of that. But we were just like, let's make some stupid band posters for her room, and it was pretty fun.
Yeah, that's cool. I love AI. I think it's a great. I think of it as like a magic paintbrush.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, when an artist gets a hold of AI, it's a different thing.
Right.
It's like a collaborative type
Yeah.
tool.
There's still significant tweaking you need to do to make it look right.
Well, I think of AI as just it's like an expression of our collective consciousness. And as I have this thing I always say is like none of my ideas are my own, but all of our ideas are ours collectively.
Yeah.
And I think that AI is a really good example of that collective consciousness, and you can just pull from that. It's like a pool of inspiration, because I use it a lot with graphic design. It saves me a lot of time, and I can use prompts to sort of envision what I'm trying to create as far as like elements within the design I'm creating, and it's been a pretty amazing tool. I can't wait till I can just talk to it.
Yeah.
It's the technology is here now, but it's not quite available. But
It's cool that you mentioned that about collective conscious, because like I'm always a person who's kind of like really anxious and obsessed with like originality and like, am I stealing this joke? Am I like ripping this off? Like, did I hear it somewhere? Am I just repeating it? And so when we came up with the idea for Table Chatter, I was like, I don't think anything like this really exists. Like there's similar things. There's like the Guild, which is a major inspiration, but like a lot of D&D stuff is based in the world, because the fantasy world is like kind of more fun to play around in.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of like shows about the people who play, and it's like a sitcom about their relationships and how they bring that into the storytelling. So like we started working on this, we're working on it for years. And then all of a sudden this other show pops up that is the exact same concept, better budget, LA connected people.
Oh.
And they release like right as we're about to start filming. And I was like, no. And I, asked my crew to watch it, or my cast to watch it, and I was just like, talk trash to me, please, and just don't say anything nice. And they were like, no, it's okay. You can have two things existing simultaneously. And I was like, that's not what I asked you to do.
well, I think that's also a good sign
stance.
that you're. I think it's a good sign of your timing too.
Yeah.
That's more how. Yeah, I was like, maybe this is becoming kind of its own subgenre here of these kind of like.
Of course, and I'm over it now.
Yeah.
I was just very frustrated at the time. And they are great. Like honestly, the other show is really good, and it's I kind of want to reach out to them and be like, hey, we made a similar thing, maybe we can collab or something.
Yeah.
Because it also is a passion project, and also just like something very similar, but it's unique in its own way as well.
Well, also the story is about the people in the story, and you guys are different people. So.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and but I think we need to rethink copyrights and patents and all that stuff. I was talking to some friends the other day about like it seems, for one thing, our society is incentivized by the wrong things. It's driven by profits and money instead of people. Mm-hmm. And you don't have a society without people.
Right.
We're the most valuable part of this society, and we're treated like the most what's the word? The most
Disposable.
like a
disposable.
Yeah, like a means to an end.
part of
When
the
the
society.
people are supposed to be the end, not the means to.
Right.
whatever.
Yeah. Even our currency should be based on the value of the needs of the people, and so I think we need to rethink these things. But
I'll add
when
it
it
to my
comes
list.
yeah.
I'll add it to my list.
Well,
I'll
when it
work on
comes to
it.
like patents and copyrights and stuff like that, I understand I'm a business guy. I understand the importance of it and being credited for your ideas that are inspired by everybody, but
that is the thing, though. It is kind of a collective. And I think all of society is the, what do you call it? I'm going to mispronounce this word, palimpsest or something. When you like write over like an old, like they took a book and then they wrote the new book over it. Like they used the, or they'd erase it, and then so the information might still be there, kind of.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but that's like the nature of art. I think you kind of are taking things and then you're kind of.
Yeah, we're just expressing ideas, and we're all sharing the same ideas. We're just
Copying
antennas, and
collating. Yeah.
And if you work on a craft long enough, your expression gets better. It's like it's just clearly articulating an idea, and that's why comedy's so hard, because it's like I've got this bit, and it's like it's funny, it's working, but it's like not working the way I want it to, which means I'm not articulating it correctly, like as precisely as I need to. I got to dig into it deeper to find that truth in that idea that is actually the thing that's so funny about it. And if you can dig deep enough, once you learn how to dig, then you can find it, and then it works. But that's what makes it look easy, but it was hard to get to that.
Yeah.
But I think with copyrights and patents and stuff like that, I think, it's like we can make Lamborghinis, but we also have, really cheap cars. But why do we have really cheap cars? Why are we using the same resources to make a really cheap car when we can make Lamborghinis? It's like we don't have a shortage of people that like making Lamborghinis. There's no shortage of people that like driving them or things that are that nice. All cars should be that quality. Like every time we reach a new level of quality and technology, we should spread that technology to everyone. It's like, hey, we've got this new idea. Check this out. See what you guys can do with it. And we shouldn't have to do it in just these limited places. We should do it everywhere. And I think if we can get past that scarcity mindset of, I can't share what I have with everybody else because they'll take all my stuff. It's like, no, we should be sharing with everybody because that's how everybody does better. And if you can create a society that's designed to incentivize people to find what they're good at, and education and stuff like that should be free. It's like you're investing into your society, and if you have a kid that's not interested in math, but they're really interested in art, well focus that kid on art. Like that kid's trajectory should be towards the things they're interested in, and that kid's going to be very successful, as whatever that interest is. And if all you want to do is sweep floors, well, we need clean floors. Why is that person less valuable than the person that made the floor, or designed the floor? It makes no sense. So I'm not saying that you can't have, a lot of success and stuff. You should, but the base level should be a nice place to be too. And we should show people that do these base level jobs, like, hey, we appreciate what you're doing. This, you receive these incentives for contributing, because what's 30 or 40 hours of your life worth? It's not like you can get it back.
Life. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a big old chunk of your week.
If that time isn't meeting your needs, then you're just a slave. Yeah. So I don't. Yeah. Copyright. I think I love seeing similar ideas happening, and as long as you're not copying somebody, that's just stealing.
Right.
But, and there's honestly like so much of like our own experiences in there that I don't think it would be very eerie if someone made exactly the same thing.
Well, another thing too about it is you want what you're creating. It has to resonate with people. People have to That's why it's such a good show, is because I can watch it and I can get lost in it because it resonates with me.
Good. Okay.
So that's
glad to hear that.
It's when you can't get lost in something. It's like it's either, I've seen, I won't even say where I saw it, but I saw an indie film that they had a pretty big budget, and it was just so narcissistic. Like it was all about this lead character or these lead characters, and there was a lot of exposition, and it was beautifully shot, and all the special effects were incredible, but the core of the film was just really just like, look at me, and it was just completely unrelatable.
Yeah.
And so I love watching your show. It's like watching you guys hang out and have fun.
We definitely put, I think, more emphasis on the story and the writing than on the... I mean, I'm not going to sell ourselves short. I think we did a great job with the cinematography and the actual filmmaking, like the art of filmmaking as well. But we were very much concerned with like making a relatable story, making good characters, creating this thing that could live on, that it has a place to go to. Rather than just kind of like, okay, well, who cares about the script? Let's make some pretty photography. We were very intentional about making this story forward. Like that's the first part, most important part.
Yeah, and it was not. You guys did a great job of making each character important. There wasn't
felt
like
balanced. Yeah,
it was really well balanced. Yeah, which is hard to do. That's what's so hard about writing on for a series like that, is because you have all these interesting characters and personalities, and you don't want to make one person like the main person. You've got to have this dynamic.
Definitely our first episode is kind of more told from Sam's point of view than anybody else in a way, but also we did want to open it up to become a little bit more ensemble. Like later, like we could have a Zoe episode. We could have an episode about Mark, and we could have, like, importantly, different little spin-offs of, like, two characters together and, like, watching their archetypes interact. And that's what I think, like, makes really great TV, is just having, like, really developed characters that can go off in their own little rooms together, and, like, you get to see them interact with each other over and over again, and
they're all interesting.
Yeah,
you can't.
It's all a different dynamic.
A good show is a show you can't really quite figure out who the lead is. Like, you may know who, like, there may be one lead.
Yeah.
But it's like they're not really the lead. There's a lot of leads. And I think that's interesting because, like you said, you can do these little spin-offs. So a whole episode can be about this other character.
Right. Yeah.
And very little about the main storyline. Yeah. So that's cool.
Yeah, I think it's but yeah, having developed characters makes it easier to write too, because it's really not even, then you kind of can finally get out of your head of what am I trying to say, like, as a writer, which I think can result in some kind of heavy-handed writing, and you're really just thinking, what would the character do?
They just live on their own. They're fully their own thing now.
Yeah, because it's like, what would my life be like, or what would I be like if I experienced these things when I was a kid or growing up, or these important situations that make you who you are today. And that's, when you write backstories for characters, you get all that stuff. And
and as I mentioned earlier, like, these characters are kind of personal to us. Like, Sam is a little bit of, like, my worst traits as a, like, 18, 19-year-old, like, woman in the nerd world, where I was a little bit toxic, a little bit gatekeepy, stuff like that. It's stuff that I'm hoping, we can work into her story arc to overcome. And then Mark, is a little bit whiny as well. And, like, Zoe's a little bit, like, kind of flighty and boho. So, like, these are all, like, aspects of ourselves that we put into these characters as well. So, our experience is not.
Dimitri's a little dramatic.
Don't know where we could have gotten that from.
That's my dungeon mastering style. I need to get a gong. I never actually used a gong in the game, but
be a nice addition.
Yeah, I think so.
Gong is great to work with on set.
Oh yeah, everybody was always talking about gong.
But, like, crazy schedule, like, getting Gong on your set, you have to jump through some hoops.
He had his own show for a while.
Yeah, I had heard about it.
Very busy.
He tells you about it. You hear about it. Yeah.
He lets you know.
Oh yeah.
So what's your goal for the second episode? When do you guys plan on? Do you have a schedule that you're trying to?
Kind of. We're hoping to finish the script. Ideally, I would love to film in, like, February, just because my work schedule. I work in college admissions, so March and April are just crazy busy for me. It would be really difficult for me to do something like this at that time. And North Carolina summers are pretty brutal. Putting people in costumes like that and making them stay outside all day, it just seems rough.
And keeping it looking right too. Yeah.
So, and then I also want to utilize one of the sets at Woods of Terror if Eddie will let me do it. I've got some connections, so maybe I'll talk to him about it. But I know that they're busy in the fall, so, like, we might be able to shoot, like, that stuff in the like early winter or late winter, and then shoot the rest of it in the fall. But I just don't want to shoot in the summer because it's just miserable, and I don't want to shoot during, like, my busy period at work. So that's, like, timeline. Ideally, some of it at least this February, and then some of it in the fall, but we'll see.
Okay, cool. What? Who did your special effects?
So there's not that many. AJ included a significant amount of them. Lindsay did some during post-production, but we don't have that many things that aren't in-camera special effects. So,
like the makeup and stuff.
Callie Alday from Woods of Terror did our makeup, and she did a great job.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, a lot of airbrush stuff. And we did a couple of makeup rehearsals with her, and I knew that there was because I used to work at Woods of Terror. I did, like, one season there as the zombie bride. Very cool. So I knew that there was a, like, group of really talented people that would be helpful and interested. So
that's cool. Yeah, that Woods of Terror is pretty awesome.
Yeah, they're great. Yeah.
Bone Daddy gave me a fast pass last time I was there. So,
really?
Yeah. Well, I think they were getting close to the closing, so they're trying to get us out of there. But Bone Daddy himself gave us fast passes.
Yeah, that's Eddie. He's great. I don't know if he would remember me. This was a long time ago that I worked there, but I know a lot of the people and we made
good.
some connections through this film as well, because Callie had a couple of people that she wanted to invite to be zombies and stuff and do extra makeup, so that was really helpful. We set up my family's RV just like right there to be our like makeup station, so that was great.
That's cool.
That was really helpful to have.
Had your own makeup trailer. That's nice.
Yeah.
Fancy.
Yeah, we had a trailer. We had our like wardrobe on racks outside. It felt like
very professional.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, that's good.
It was fun. A lot of work.
Doesn't feel like an indie production.
Right. But then it's like I'm throwing it all in the back of my Subaru at the end of the day. So.
That feels like an indie production.
Exactly.
That's cool. Any other projects in the works outside of this, or any other ideas that you're thinking about? You don't have to share the idea, but you know.
Okay. I was thinking about a horror movie today that I was thinking about writing. Yeah. Or I've read a little bit
Nice.
of that. So
Yeah, I would like to make horror. Horror's my
Horror's fun.
That's my favorite.
yeah, I'd like to do a horror comedy kind of thing. But yeah, then episode 2 of this, always kicking around stuff. Yeah, like you said, don't want to really talk about it too much until like you get to a certain point in the process, because then like this thing I was thinking about today, I had already started, and I already know I want to like rewrite it to something, just have a clearer concept of what it is about. So
Right.
yeah. I got a lot of half starts like that, but otherwise I'm just kicking stuff around, not really doing much. Yeah.
Still doing improv at the Idiot Box. Like I said, we're talking about starting a ladies sketch group, but I don't know. Time, it's not.
Are you currently in an improv group?
Yeah, I'm at the Idiot Box.
Oh, just the Idiot Box group. Okay. What do they just have one, or is it?
Yeah, we have like the house
main
team,
troupe,
and then
yeah.
people have paired up to do like long form improv. I don't know if I want to do that or not. I think I need more practice, but that's been really fun. And then time is just slipping through my fingers at all time, and Table Chatter takes up a lot of it. So we're at a point now where we can kind of take a little bit of a break. So that's been nice, but I am submitting to festivals, trying to figure out what that landscape looks like. There's a lot to learn because this is my first time ever working on the post-production distribution side of things, so I'm Googling a lot.
Are you guys going to release this on YouTube, or?
Eventually, yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's got to go through the festival circuit first,
Yeah.
so it can't be publicly broadcast.
Sure.
And that's a term that I'm sure has legal meanings, but I'm considering it very vaguely. We've been tiptoeing around and being very careful about copyright things, and we don't even have any I wanted to wear a Ramones t-shirt, and then I was like, you know what? I'd rather not. I'd rather just wear something custom just in case. So all of our posters and all of our books and stuff like that are made by friends. So
that's good. Yeah.
So I'm just being very careful about all kinds of things that could prohibit us from festivals or anything like that.
And that stuff's kind of silly, but it is important to think about it. Yeah.
And
it's also kind of fun to find a workaround because again, we get to showcase our friends' art.
Well, you're creating your own universe too.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't know, and it's fun to kind of have that Easter egg to point out later and be like, that's
Yeah.
That's skeleton.
Do you so most artists that I know have multiple ways of expressing themselves. Do you guys have any other art forms that you enjoy outside of performance art and production?
Yeah, music. I play guitar and a little piano. I'm starting to learn
Nice.
piano. And I sing, so.
That's good. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get into website development now.
Very cool.
I really haven't at all, but this past year I've been on the code learning apps and stuff like that, and I've had to do some website stuff for grad school, and so I'm just kind of beginning to realize all the vast creative potentials of the digital space that I've never really done a lot in, but always was interested in, and I feel like I have an opportunity to try to learn more of that. Now it's become so much more accessible every year, so much more affordable, the things that to teach you all this stuff.
And now with AI, you can write code easily.
Yeah, AI is a huge game changer. It's like a creative power tool, maybe almost.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a fun time to be alive and be a creative.
Yeah, in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons it's not too, but
yeah. It's pros.
Yeah, it'll probably change a lot of the way we think about careers in art and stuff like that. And I don't know. Maybe some of that will be for the better because maybe people will just be making art for fun instead of just endlessly grinding to try to make a living.
Yeah.
But it's very, very difficult to make a living.
Yes,
With
as an artist.
Yeah, indie art especially.
I do feel like with AI, I think the most important aspect of AI is that it remains open source or at least available to the public, because you don't want a corporation controlling it or a government controlling it. It needs to be.
Yeah, that's dystopia.
Yeah, that'd be scary. But as long as we all have access to it, and in another year or two, you're going to have an AI assistant on your phone that's a super intelligent genius. We're super intelligence. It's like 10,000 geniuses. And it can do everything for you. So you sort of become like a CEO of your own life, and you have this assistant that's just brilliant and can communicate with you verbally just like a human. And like, hey, you have an email from this person, they're asking this question, what do you want to do? Like, well, just tell them we'll do this, and it just takes care of that for you. And as an artist, and I think art is probably going to be one of the primary future careers, or like creative jobs or endeavors, because I think this technology, the way it's moving forward, the way it's evolving, it looks like it's going to be able to do everything we can do better than we can do it, mentally or physically. And you're already seeing like robotic systems that have human-like dexterity, and these are early models. So next year, those same robotic systems will move better than us.
You're very optimistic about this. I think that means that the robot overlords will probably spare you. So.
Well, I think what happens is, you're going to see. We were already starting to see like a merging of the sciences in complexity, and so now we've got this ability to take all of our scientific knowledge and analyze it simultaneously and start to connect these different departmentalized areas of research, and I'm sure we'll find many new discoveries and advancements, and it'll happen. This you're talking about an intelligence that could probably do 15,000 years of research in just minutes. So you can't even comprehend what that looks like. So 3 years from now is completely unpredictable, but typically technology is decentralizing, and power is always a problem with any society, and so if it can decentralize power, it should actually help the individuals.
Even the score a little.
Yeah, and when there's not an intellectual disadvantage in society, we're all more productive and more capable, and then it's like, and if these things are doing everything, they're going to be way faster than us. So when you do have new technological advancements or new ideas that go into production, it'll be so rapid that they'll have to scale it way up, and then we have to be able to use these things that are created, utilize these tools or inventions, and I think, I don't know, I can kind of see a future where money that doesn't even exist. Where currency is sort of I'm sure it'll exist in some fashion, but not like it does today. It won't be like some centralized currency. We'll probably have multiple currencies for multiple things. So I feel optimistic about that. I feel like it's like we have this powerful tool that can either make things amazing for us all or can enslave us all. And I feel like, based on the previous innovations and trajectories or evolutions of technology, it'll just continue to decentralize power and empower the individuals. Like it did with the music industry.
So, yeah.
It eliminated a lot of the gatekeeping that was happening, and it's still doing that. And so I think, and I don't think anybody, no human's going to ever put a higher value on AI art or creativity over the human creativity, because we empathize with each other, and we understand how difficult it is to become really good at something, and how much work and suffering you have to put into something. And that's what creates the value in the art, is the suffering that went into it.
You ever take one of those quizzes that it's like these are AI generated images or regular people, like you have to tell the difference?
Oh yeah.
I failed, like big fail.
It's hard to tell. Yeah.
Yeah. We tend to think, like, the way that this test was thrown out there, it was like anything that had like better quality, we tend to thought were real, like in terms of like realism. But people actually look less real than they are in photographs, in like photographs that are just taken of them.
This is 2D.
Yeah, it's weird. It's
Yeah.
it's kind of mind blowing.
Yeah, and that model is just creating those images pixel by pixel.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is really incredible. But I
It's
think
a higher definition photo.
Yeah.
Than you would with regular cameras.
This is actually building it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like
Oh,
it's almost like a rendering.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, and certainly it'll be. I think the word artificial shouldn't be in that. It should just be intelligence, because even when you look at nature, and I think of technology as nature too. It's just as natural as trees and plants and us. It's
we made it and we're part of it. We came from
we're
nature,
just
it's all
we're just manipulating matter on a higher level. And so I think that will be doing the same thing. And when you see how nature operates and the intelligence that goes into nature itself, it's like things in nature that have seemingly no conscious do incredibly conscious things, and so this technology that's communicating with us and expressing our ideas and stuff, it is an intelligence. I don't know whether it's conscious or not. It very likely could become sentient or conscious, but it's also not. I mean, it is. It's like us, but it's not us. It's like an extension of us. Maybe it's like the future us or something. But I think it's hubris to think that we are really doing this ourselves. It's just kind of like the intelligence of nature, of the universe. It's just maybe it's inevitable. Maybe consciousness.
Intelligence always meant something beyond just human intelligence.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the intelligence of
And I also don't think
all these nodes of information, which is always what we had. Like every plant's a different node of information, just like every human's a different.
I don't think of humans as separate from nature. We try to separate ourselves. It's like you hear people talking about what's the term when you try to like humanize or you think of like when you're talking about an animal with like people
like
use
personify.
Yeah, or there's
anthropomorphization.
Yeah. So when we try to anthropomorphize animals and their feelings, I think that's I don't think that's accurate. I think we should do that because we're empathizing with that animal, and it does have feelings, and it is a conscious being, and so I think we for some reason we and it's probably just because we have a higher consciousness than most other things on the planet, but we shouldn't separate ourselves from the planet, from the animals. It's one system. It all works together, and it's all one thing, and it's very likely that it's all just information anyway. It's just a collection of information, and we're rendering this information in a specific way. I mean, clearly what we see is not what really is. It's just our perception of reality. We see very little of what actually exists in reality. And so maybe with a system that can perceive way beyond what we can, it'll make us better too, hopefully.
Oh yeah, I want to see like that shrimp that sees like 19.
Yeah, right. I want to see what it sees.
Great, like levels of light or something like that.
It seems as chromocolor or something.
Yeah.
Like it sees beyond infrared and
that's going to be my AI prompt.
I mean, just think.
Show me the world like that shrimp sees it.
Think if you could see all the signals that go through the air.
Yeah.
There's so much information that's traveling through the air right now through us. And we can't see it.
I mean, I can, but it takes a lot of drugs.
Right.
Can't do that on the day-to-day.
But so I think I'm pretty optimistic
you got me
about
looking for waves in the air. I'm just like, where?
They're here.
Maybe
Everywhere.
if I try really hard, I can see different. Yeah.
Well, I think if the atmosphere
it is all
almost like water.
That's what it's doing.
It's like a fluid that we're inside of.
Yeah.
But anyway, I like existential conversations too. So,
Yeah.
I think we got a good.
Yeah, it's a good mix.
It's a good mix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How can you guys, or how can people follow your progress and
So
journey?
obviously social media. If you're on Facebook or Instagram, those are great. We do have TikTok that has that I have not done anything with in a while, but I will soon. And then we're hoping to soon get a website revamp that will have a email collection so that we can at least stay in touch with fans.
Yeah, I know a guy learning code that could maybe work on that website.
He is but a novice. So he's a wee baby.
I've got a friend working on it, and we're trying to figure out, how to collect email addresses and like not spam everybody. But we want to be able to say like, hey, there's a screening. It's in this area. If you're around, you should check it out. Or like when we eventually do open it up for public broadcast, where they can find it. Hopefully have a couple of people that want to watch it by that point.
Yeah.
We do have a PayPal link on our website if anyone wants to donate to helping us make future episodes. We will need that eventually.
That's cool.
We did an Indiegogo last time, but that was a lot of work to keep up with. So I'm not sure if that's the best vehicle for a second round of fundraising. I'm not sure yet.
Yeah.
Still have to do a little research.
Are there any incentives for people to invest in the production?
You get to see it happen.
Yeah, be a part of it.
The best incentive of all.
Yeah.
That's
I
cool.
mean, yeah.
And how can people follow you guys personally?
I'm also on Facebook, Instagram. People can also just send an email to tablechattershow@gmail.com, and I'm monitoring that so I can respond. And come see us at the Idiot Box, of course.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yep.
Greatest comedy club.
The greatest.
Greatest comedy club.
How about you, Al? You're on social media too, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Although I have a very anxious attachment to it.
Yeah.
I am like, I'm spending too much time on it. Or I'm pretty much just Facebook. But when I do things, I post to Facebook and.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. How else do you get words out?
Right. It's the best resource now, currently.
YouTube, TikTok. I do have a TikTok actually. I put up a few TikTok videos, but not many. Maybe I'll get more
TikTok's
into
fun.
it. Yeah, it is. It is.
We did have fun. It's not as accessible anymore because the music merger took down the music. But I don't know if you remember on TikTok there was a Wes Anderson trend that people did. So we did a table chatter one that was really, really fun to put together. We put a bunch of our behind the scenes stuff, little bits that we worked on while we were filming on there. So definitely worth it to check out our TikTok. There's fun stuff on there. I just haven't messed with it in a while.
Yeah, very cool. Well, thank you guys for coming on. It's been
thank you so much, Neil. This was great.
Yeah,
for running all the tech.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah,
we out here.
And
that was fun.
As soon as Table Chatter is ready, everybody needs to check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's very cool.
Yeah, definitely.
In the meantime, if people really want to watch it, just send me a message and I'll see what I can do.
All right. Cool.
Yeah. Email tablechattershow@gmail.com.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you next week. Bye.